hit the recording, and we're off. We're off to the races just like that. Totally incredible. All right. So Fred is here. Welcome. Great to have you. Fred's all tuned in. He's got the Star Trek people on the headset. He's ready to rock this thing.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. That's it. I like it. I like it very much. All right. And Stefana, who we're looking at your ceiling, but I'm sure you're there somewhere. Also, there you are. Hi. Great to see you. Welcome. And don't see any other new faces at the moment. Robyn's here. Hello. Fabulous to see you. And good. So, only the serious people showed up today. This is good. Like all the, the clowns and the numbnuts and those guys stayed home today. So it's just the serious people that are on today's mentoring session, which is exactly as it should be. It's exactly as it should be. All right. So what I want to talk about today, and we'll kind of go around and do our Q&A, and I think Morgan has the question queue ready to go for a little bit later on. But this topic has kind of come up over and over and over again. So I wanted to address it with you and maybe even have you guys work on it right here, right now while we're together, which is the difference between chasing gigs and having a business. And so I remember a friend of mine about 6-7 years ago, we were at a National Speakers Association meeting, and I was part of a hallway conversation, just kind of listening in. And one guy says to the other, he says, tell me about your business. And the guy says, well, I'm speaking for this and I'm over here and I've got this gig lined up and I'm doing this other thing. And he goes, no, well, you told me about your calendar. Tell me about your business. And the guy says, what are you talking about? This is my business. In fact, this is my best year ever. I've got, a whole bunch of gigs lined up and making nice money and it's all working out the way I want. And then this other guy who has a very successful business, and we'll talk about what the ingredients and building blocks are there, he says, dude, you don't have a business. What you have is gigs. You do not have a business. And for the speaker, who was, again, very, very successful in his own mind because he had a lot of gigs lined up, he said, well, what do you mean? So after the gig, what else do they get? A handout? Slides? Like, I'm not understanding your questions. Like, no, how else can they use you? Right? So think about the 3 dials that you have in your business. This is me taking over now from that story. The 3 dials in your business are depth, duration, and detail. So when you're doing a keynote, when you're doing a half-day workshop, full-day seminar, whatever it might be, that is a certain level of depth of your expertise, your content, your wisdom, right? A certain level of detail and a certain duration, right? 1 hour to 1 day. If they want to go further, if they want to go bigger, if they want better results, they want to stay more connected to you, they want to see more skills transfer or behavior change or competencies or capabilities that they do not have, suddenly they have those. That's not going to be a speech, right? That is not going to be a speech. That's going to be some other type of program or some other type of service that has a much higher level of depth and duration and detail. So if all we have is level 1, right? Level 1 is the gig. Level 1 is the speaking gig. Okay, well, how much depth, duration, and detail do you have? I don't know. I got an hour. I got 3 hours if you want a half day. I got 6 hours if you want a full day. That's about it. No, we want to transform our company. We want to transform our culture. We want to transform our executives. We want to transfer the way that we do things around here with recruiting and retention and talent development and stress and health and wellness and career and communication skills and presentation skills and all of these different fabulous things that we do. So when you don't have a fully developed business model, or what I call an integrated product suite. So think about Apple. The way I always describe the integrated product suite is think about Apple Computer. The reason Apple Computer is so successful is they have great individual products, and they also have great individual products that work even better when they are together. So if you have an iPhone, let's say your first Apple product was an iPhone, and now your PC, your laptop breaks, something goes haywire, you're saying, well, I have this iPhone, maybe I should get a MacBook. And so you go to the store, you go to the Apple store, you go and get a MacBook. Now you've got the phone and the computer, and they can talk to each other and do all kinds of cool things. Now you want to get a tablet. Well, you're not going to go probably get a Samsung tablet. You're not going to walk into Best Buy. You're probably going to at least consider, well, gosh, I like my iPhone. I like my MacBook. Maybe I should get an iPad, right? When it comes time to buy a desktop computer, you're probably going to buy the big 27-inch monster desktop Mac, desktop computer. So each of those products is great, different purpose. You can almost look at it like a different level of depth, duration, and detail in our integrated product suite as speakers and as experts who speak professionally. But imagine if you said, well, all we make is the phone. Oh, you want a computer? Yeah, well, you got to go to Microsoft, you got to go to Lenovo, you got to go to Samsung to get one of those. We don't sell those, sorry. I say, oh, you want a tablet? Okay, well, you're going to have to go to Dell because Dell makes these really crappy tablets. Just go get one of those. Sorry for you Dell tablet owners, like all one of you in the universe. But anyway, so in your business, when you're selling iPhones and all you're doing is selling gigs, that is a business model problem. And that shows up as a revenue problem. That shows up as a sales problem. That can sometimes show up as a revenue roller coaster problem, right? So one of the mantras that we teach and preach, and for you new folks, maybe this is the first time you're hearing it, but the veterans here have heard it many times, that we need to move away from being a professional speaker and move towards being a professional problem solver. As a professional problem solver, you have an entire spectrum of different investable opportunities that your clients can buy to improve their condition, accelerate their path to an outcome, make something happen in their company or in their team or within themselves that's going to be a better, faster, smarter, cooler result than they could get if they had never come across you. So for you to say, okay, I'm just going to hunt the next gig. I'm in the gig business. I'm selling gigs. I'm not really running a business. Yes, that's bad for you, and we can talk about that today. We can address that today. But it's also bad for your clients. It's also bad for your audience, because that means that you're only partially serving what they really want and need from you. And they're going to get it from somewhere, folks. I will tell you this. I guarantee this. They will get it from somewhere. They should be getting it from you. But if they're not getting it from you, they're going to give someone else a check. They're going to give someone else money. And I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but for the folks that are doing any kind of coaching or consulting, when you do the coaching and the consulting and someone decides not to invest with you, and then you catch up with them 3 months later, 6 months later, whenever it is, say, hey, how are you doing? Just checking in. What did you end up doing? What problem, how did you end up solving this problem? They go, oh, I signed up for this like super duper $50,000 program, or we bought this really super expensive consulting package from the super expensive consulting firm. And you're like, well, wait a second. I could have done that same work. I could have gotten you a better result, and I would have charged you a fraction of the price. But either because you didn't offer, or here's the killer. When they say, Robyn, I had no idea that you offered that service. They say, Leonard, I had no idea that we could hire you for 6 months and help our salespeople move more cars, right? Neil, I had no idea that you had that in your toolkit. Now you have a huge head slapper moment, right? Because you thought that you were just selling the gigs and selling the transactions or selling whatever it was that's in your basic little package. And you did not have, or you did not articulate, you didn't present your integrated product suite that says, listen, we can start with this, and then we can move into that, and then level 3 and level 4 and up from there. So sometimes it's even worse when you have the business model, but you have not articulated the business model, or you haven't presented the opportunity. You haven't invited people to that next level of how you could help them. So what I'd like to do, if you're feeling brave, if you want to try this with me, what I thought we'd do a quick business model check, little business model round robin here. So the way that this is phrased is, first, they invest in whatever it is, right? First, they invest in a speech. First, they invest in a keynote. First, they invest in a seminar. First, they invest in a workshop. Then, if they want more help, I can invite them to a coaching program, a 6-month leadership development thing, a 3-month sales boot camp, a super duper retreat weekend, whatever it is that's your second offering. And if they do well there, then I may choose to invite them to the next thing. Now, again, if you might have one of these, you might have 2 of these already in place, you might have 3 of these. By the end of today, at least you'll have some brainstorming ideas. Wow, I don't really have a level 2. Maybe I should create a level 2, whatever that looks like with your different depth, duration, and detail, right? If you have level 1 and level 2, you say, well, gosh, I'm really leaving some money on the table. I don't have a level 3. So what's level 3 going to look like in my business with that degree of depth, duration, and detail? So if you want to try this with me, we can open up here. You can unmute yourself. We'll just kind of raise hands or put in the chat box if you want to have a little go with this. The syntax is first, they invest in a keynote or a speech or whatever your level 1 is. Then if they do well there, if they want more, they invest in whatever your level 2 program is. And if I like them, and if I want to do more with them, and if they want to do more with me, then I invite them to whatever that level 3 is. And let's see how well developed these are. And let's see if there's maybe some brainstorming or some mind sparking that you can do based on what other people share, that if yours isn't quite developed the way that you'd like it to be, it's going to become more developed and more fleshed out even at the end of today. So let's see. All right. So Selena is saying, well, again, you can open up your mic. You don't need to type necessarily. What I said is type in the chat box if you'd like to share yours, or you can just type yours in the chat box. So Selena, you're saying level 1 is a speech or a workshop. Level 2 is an 8-week masterclass with group mentoring. And level 3 is a 12-month. So let's talk through that for a minute. So when you say speech workshop, that's going to be some kind of conference or association meeting, correct?
That is correct.
And then tell me about your level 2 program. How does that work and how do you invite people into that?
After the workshop or the speech that I've given, I would have a call to action if they're interested, because I would talk about the master class. It's an 8-week teaching class, and then they have a group mentoring like what we're doing right now. And then when they do well, and those that want to continue on, I would have a 12-month mentoring program with them where it is a weekly group mentoring where you bring problems in, we solve problems, and it's a community of like-minded people learning together.
Excellent. And Lisette is asking in the chat box, just if you wouldn't mind just resharing what your topic matter is, what your expertise is in for these 3 levels.
Well, I spend about 30 years in human resources. So my secret sauce is forget about employee engagement. All the programs doesn't work. It's about mindset. If we don't get to where this is between these 2 ears, you're never going to get the results. So that's the problem I'm trying to solve. It's really creating a new level of thinking in leadership, in employee performance, and looking at excellence in a totally different set of lenses.
Wow, very, very nice. Now, when you were going through modules 1 and 2 and kind of articulating all of this, did you have that as well crystallized before, or is that a result of some of the work that you're doing in here?
It's the result of some of the work I'm doing here. So for some of those new people, I'm going to give a plug for David and his team. When I first started, I'm thinking, okay, I should get this, but I'm so lost. But I'm one of those people, I'm listening, and David says, do the work, follow the process, and that's what I'm doing. And then I think I'm into week 4 or 5 now. It's almost like, hallelujah, the clouds just open up for me, and I'm thinking, that's what he's talking about. So people follow the process, get comfortable at feeling uncomfortable, you will get there. So your zone of genius, David, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Well, Selena, thank you for engaging in the work and doing the work. I want to just point out a couple of things that will benefit everyone hugely. And you may want to just re-listen to what Selena just said, not about the kudos. Thank you again for those, but about her process of going through. Everything you know about XYZ is wrong. right? So that's a contrarian message. That's going to immediately separate her from all the other people going, HR, blah, 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 employee engagement, employee culture, sound the same, look the same, plain vanilla, boring, right? No distinction, no X factor, no secret sauce happening there. As soon as you break from that, and we have so many great examples of people doing the contrarian, the unexpected, the kind of upside down, turn your topic matter upside down, not just to get attention, not as a gimmick, but truly because you believe something different is going to work better for your clients and audiences. So I'll give you two quick examples. One is my buddy Gary Markle, who's down in Atlanta, Georgia, and he runs a performance management company. Everybody wants Gary and his team to come in and fix their performance review process. Rather than do that, he says, throw it out the window. It is done. It is broken. It is dead. Stick a fork in it. That thing is done. We're not doing any performance reviews ever again. So his whole topic, his whole platform is around no more performance reviews. He also is like a 25-year HR veteran, worked for big companies like ExxonMobil. He was VP of HR at some smaller companies, and just, huge background. So when people like Selena and people like Gary talk about HR and talk about their specific area of expertise and say, here's what's missing, funky, broken, and sad. Here's why what you think is going on is actually not going on. What you're working on is totally the wrong things that you're working on. And the needle movers in your business or in the result that you want are totally not the needle movers that you think they are. All of a sudden, people go, okay, hang on, we got to listen to her. Hang on. We haven't heard this line of reasoning before. This is different. This is contrarian. This is provocative. Now, of course, Selena has to back it up, and she does. And Gary Markle has to back it up, and he does. So Gary's whole thing about no more performance reviews is we're going to replace it with something much more effective and much more successful that he calls catalytic coaching. Catalytic coaching is a 365-day-a-year process. It does not happen once a year. It happens every single day. And then there are formal meetings monthly and quarterly to back up the daily reinforcement and repetition of his process. Because he says, everyone hates performance reviews. Managers hate giving them. Employees hate getting them. The whole process is backwards, upside down, antiquated, and crazy. So what's backwards, upside down, antiquated, and crazy in your business? Where are people spending the wrong kinds of time, money, effort, love, and energy? And they could be and should be doing it the way that Stefano wants them to, doing it the way that Lisette wants them to, doing it the way that Jack and Dina want them to. Where are people misguided? They're working on the wrong things in the wrong way for the wrong reason. And you become the sane one in the room. As soon as you say everything that you know and think is upside down, crazy, and insane, suddenly you become the sane adult in the room. So stop focusing on this and start focusing on that. Don't do this, instead do that. Stop measuring this and start measuring that. And then people go, damn, she's right. Shit, that's exact. No wonder that this hasn't been working. No wonder that we're so frustrated. No wonder that we've paid all this money to all these other consultants and trainers and people, and all we're getting is the same results and the same blah, blah, blah kind of advice. So right then and there, I know we started talking about business model. We're going to get back to that. But this positioning that Selena just worked on, man, if you guys can replicate that in your topic and your business, that's going to be the magic key that opens the lock. And that's going to open up more sales conversations. That's going to open up more revenue streams for these different business models. Hugely, hugely valuable. So thank you for sharing that, even if it was unintentionally, but thank you for sharing that. That was great. Who else has one that they would like to share as far as first they buy this, and then they buy that, and then they buy the third thing? Anyone have a business model for different levels of depth, duration, and detail? Go ahead, Dina.
Hi, good morning.
Hey there.
So, yeah, definitely one of the values of going through this training, the Do It marketing, was that we never had an answer for what next. Actually, it was our customers that prompted it. He did a 1-hour keynote, walked off the stage, and the person that hired us said, "That's great. What do you have to offer for follow-up?" We were like, oh, please, we'll get back to you. So we did brainstorm, and we've did the shoot the holes in it conversation around the training. So what the plan is the kind of our small, medium, and large offerings are, first they invest in the 1 hour keynote. Then if that goes well and they're thirsty for more, which we're finding they are, then we will offer a half-day training with an 8-week accountability period where we will have 2 follow-up webinars live so we can answer their questions, as well as a supplemental video library. And then if they still want to go further, our large offering will be more custom, where we can do multiple half-day engagements, where we can, one of his subtopics is reading body language for increased sales. So we can envision perhaps a need for, if they want to role play the body language to make sure that they really comprehend the topics.
Right.
Or we can do, really based on their needs.
And give me the price points on that menu of the small, medium, and large.
So for right now, the keynote is $7,500. The half-day training is $12,500. And the large is really depending on the number of on-site visits or the depth and duration. So that's going to be a custom quote, but it'll probably be in the ballpark of 40, 50,000.
Nice. That's great. That's exactly what we're talking about, right? It's the lunch, dinner, and then the gigantic buffet. And that's exactly the kind of stair-step program. And again, it's so funny that you say that your clients were asking this question, and then you're like, oh, we better have a good answer for that. And because it's not just about being greedy or about, oh, let's grab all the money we possibly can. It's about how do you help them get the result that they want? Because remember, guys, nobody wants a speech. I hate to tell you this, as much as we love to sell speaking, no one wants a speech. No one wants a 6-month program. No one wants a coaching or a consulting gig. They want to get to their destination. So when you say, okay, well, I'm going to give you a travel poster. Here's the travel. When you do a speech is a travel poster for the destination. Here's what Paris looks like. Isn't that beautiful? There's Paris right there. You got the Eiffel Tower. You got the sunrise. You got the glass of wine. There's Paris. And they go, excuse me, I'd like a trip to Paris for a week. Oh, no, just look at the poster. Look at the poster. Okay, bye. And then you go home. It's like, no, we're going to Paris. And what you want to do there is not just paint the picture of Paris, but you want them to smell the croissants, smell the fresh French press coffee that's on the balcony at sunrise with that Parisian mist misting up your glasses. And you're like, wow, this is awesome. So they can actually feel it, taste it, touch it, see it. And then when they enroll, right, either in a training program or a deeper dive, and they start to get that transformation, because a speech is going to be information. And when you work with them more closely in level 2 and level 3, that's where you're really catalyzing that transformation. Transformation in their business, transformation in their sales, transformation in their leadership, transformation in their presentation skills, transformation in their results and their outcomes and what they really want to create and what they really want to establish. So as soon as you do that, they're already in. I mean, you had them at hello because you're talking 100% about their outcomes, their people, their team, their culture, what they want to see happen. And that's great. That's exactly how it's supposed to roll out.
Yeah,
so from seeker to problem solver, that's the entire spectrum.
Yeah, you talk about that revenue roller coaster, and that's exactly what we're trying to minimize, is because a lot of us, in the financial services and the insurance groups, they want a mental toughness person to come in for their annual kickoff meeting. Well, if you don't get that kickoff meeting, you have to wait a whole nother year. So it's like you could have a great first quarter, but then the rest of the year you're trying to figure out, okay, what conferences or whatever can I do to get supplemental income? Where you have the training offering, it's not just that one window or you got to wait a whole nother year. It opens up the whole rest of the year and a whole nother funding budget that we can tap into. And like you said, add value, but it's a win-win. So anyways, thank you.
Exactly right. Yeah, no, really, really good.
We would have never realized we were leaving money on the table. So thank you.
You're welcome. And now the only problem is that you're going to be hurting your back. You're going to have back and shoulder pain simply from carrying heavy bags of cash to the bank. So remember, lift with the legs. Do not lift with the back. Lift with the legs. Just get used to, do some squats and you'll be fine. You never thought you'd get that advice on this kind of mentoring call. You never thought that you would hear me say, here's my advice, do some squats. I serve where and wherever I can. Okay, who else has a quick business model snapshot that they'd like to share? Rocco, go ahead.
Sure. Well, I'm new.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go with Robyn. I actually said Rocco. Let's go with Robyn. We'll do ladies first, and we'll do Robyn and Rocco. How's that?
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
And welcome, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, this is my first day. So I'm a psychologist, and I help women and couples manage the transition to new parenthood. And so the way I do that is with a 1-hour speech that is either focusing on how to keep your relationship in good shape and prevent huge amounts of conflict, or on helping women manage maternity leave and how to return from it. So that's the first level. The second level would be a half-day seminar for women in the corporate environment and how to come back, how to negotiate with your boss, how to negotiate with your colleagues, how to deal with your emotions, how to plan for childcare, emergencies, all those good things. And for the couples, I offer a 2-day seminar that teaches them skills in keeping their relationship strong and conflict resolution, and particularly how dads can be more involved with their kids. At the third level, I offer coaching packages, postpartum coaching packages. So that's what I've got planned right now, but I am kind of right at the beginning of actually making this into a business and earning money from it. So
right. And we're also, Robyn, I think our strategy here is to shift you into same core topic, but kind of corporatizing it. Right. Making it more of a corporate message around not losing talent and not losing revenue with the people coming and going on and off maternity leave, how to send them off in the right way, how to welcome them back in the right way so that we minimize loss of productivity and profit and morale and all those good things.
Right. And I've done some good research on how divorce affects productivity. So I have some good numbers to include in my marketing materials on that. So that was a good thing. One of the good things that I did since I last spoke to you.
Great. Very, very nice. Awesome. Let's do 1 or 2 more, and then we'll jump right to our Q&A, which is, of course, the meat of the matter. But I think this is really important. Even if you didn't have one coming in, but you're getting inspired by what all these folks are sharing and you want to just throw some spaghetti up, go ahead, and then we'll do Rocco, and then we've got time for maybe 2 or 3 more after Rocco, and then we'll hit our question queue. So Rocco, go ahead.
Okay, so I just got inspired to expand my offerings in the
there it is. I love it.
Minutes. So I did a small, medium, large, extra large model. So the keynote is 7,500. That's small. The medium is a strategic half-day workshop, which is medium, 12,500. The next large is an individual business breakup analysis, which is 25,000. And the extra large is the large plus monthly follow-ups for 1 year, and that's 50,000.
Love it. That's great. I love business breakup analysis. That's kind of like an assessment about whether you're at risk, how you're at risk, where you're at risk, some danger areas, some red flags, things like that.
Right. So it's basically day one is, I see that as like a 2-day process. Day one is meeting with them personally, analyzing their business, highlighting the red flags for business breakup. And then day 2 is typically creating or revising their ownership agreement to protect them.
Nice. Yeah. Isn't it amazing how these family businesses and partnerships, so many of them don't have anything on paper?
Yeah.
And then they wonder, whoa, things went south. Like, yeah, of course things go south. Things always go south. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
When, yep.
Especially if your partner's a narcissistic sociopath. But
or your parent.
Same thing. Right. Exactly. Narcissistic sociopath, parent, same thing. Just ask Robyn. This is her thing, right? It's like, you guys are so screwed up. Don't screw up the kids. Please don't screw up the kids, because then they'll grow up and then you'll have a business together. All right, excellent. Who else has one? That I've got two ideas to share. Actually, I lied. We can do one or two more business model quick run throughs, and then I've got two other things that will immediately, and I mean like immediately, put money in your pocket. Would someone else like to put their small, medium, large business model under the microscope, either coming into this or something like with Rocco, just having a mind spark right here as we're talking about this?
All right, I'll give it a shot if that's all right, David.
Yeah, Neil, go ahead. Thanks.
So I had an aha moment on the weekend. You and I talked last week about customer service and that kind of being my focus. And as I told you, I'm a former corrections officer, hostage negotiator, crisis negotiator. So we had a young man, a 3-year-old boy, drown in the river a couple of weeks ago. And it's been quite painful for the community. And on the weekend, I joined a search team to help out because of the conflict that was arising between the volunteers and the organizers. And out of that came really good work this weekend and really good healing. And so as I've been thinking about what I'm going to be doing, it's just got to go back into the crisis management field and conflict in organizations. And so when I'm listening to you guys, I'm thinking keynote for the start into a 2-day workshop teaching the skills and the interpersonal communication skills that diffuse conflict. And then from there to a coaching package that takes long-term relationships with managers and corporations and make sure that they have an ongoing process to control that conflict.
Nice. And then just kind of pricing brackets on those?
Well, I'm trying to start the keynotes off at about $7,500.
Mm-hmm.
And so then a 2-day workshop, I'm looking for advice on that, but the thought of $12,000 to $15,000 comes to mind.
Sure.
And then what you do for ongoing coaching, that's kind of where I'm stuck, because coaching takes on a different time set, right? It is a longer term relationship, but you're not there every day and you're not there for hours. Sometimes coaching can be an hour phone call. Other times it can be, I need to come in.
That's right.
So I would take any advice that anybody's willing to share on what coaching fees should be like. Should it be a monthly retainer? Should it be something that's based on number of people you're coaching?
So we can dig into that a little bit. I will give you a couple of quick guidelines. Even because coaching is tricky, right? Because coaching, it's very tempting to break it down hourly and say, well, okay, we're going to do a weekly call. That's 4 hours and that's one-on-one. And how many of those do I want? And how much of my time can I give? And so forth. It's really important when it comes to coaching to have this results focus and not the hours focus, right? Hours is the input and the outcome is the value. So for that reason, and a couple other good reasons, I really recommend either a retainer or like a flat fee. So when, it could be like, okay, it's going to be for X number of people or even a per person, whatever it is. If it's executive coaching with one person, if it's team coaching with a group of people, that can literally range from $3,000 to $10,000 a month. If you wanted to have a kind of a group program like Selena was talking about, right, for X number of people, that again could be on a per person basis or up to 10 people, up to 15 people, etc. I will tell you that in our clients that have come through this program, people have had in a corporate setting with corporate coaching, no problem selling like a $26,000 flat fee program, which was a 6-month program, or a $16,000, $17,000 90-day program, and that's kind of the going rate. So when you're used to kind of B2C coaching about, okay, it's $100 an hour, or it's $90 an hour, you're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? You take that to a corporate buyer, they'll throw you out of the office.
Yeah.
They'll be like, wow, what, are you kidding me? Like, I thought I was getting the real deal. I thought Neil was a serious guy. Neil couldn't even negotiate a hostage out of a paper bag. He charged me $100 an hour. This guy had life and death in his hands. It's $100 an hour. No, it's not $100 an hour, right? It's going to be $17,000 for 90 days, or I'll cut you a deal, 6 months, $26K. People go, oh, okay. And they just pay it. Because the value, right, when you talk about what you do and the economic impact and the economic value and the ROI on what you do, it is so astronomical that it doesn't make sense to lowball it and shortchange your own talents.
Okay.
So that's the scoop there. All right, let's talk about 2 ideas that will make you immediate money immediately. You guys like this concept of immediate money immediately? I know Stefana said, let's go with the money. She likes the immediate money immediately. Maybe you guys do too. So 2 stories came to mind as I was preparing this kind of getting gigs versus business model and having a real business where you've got multiple layers. And it can start by actually even having more options on the front end. More options on the front end. So instead of like speech, workshop, etc., I worked with a very successful guy a couple years ago whose name is Alex Blass, and he's an international keynote speaker. He lives in Baltimore, but he's almost never in the country because he's all over Europe, he's all over Asia, he's all over the Middle East. He does programs in Singapore and Dubai and everywhere. He's a big innovation guy, very, very successful guy. And at the time he came to me, his keynote fee, I think it was already 20 grand. It was already 20 grand. He was getting it over and over and over, 3-4 gigs a month, no problem. And he said, I wish I could go further with my audience. I wish I could have more time and go deeper with my audiences, but I'm doing these $20,000 keynotes and they're 60 to 90 minutes and then I'm gone. And I said, well, have you ever thought about doing a workshop? Have you ever thought about doing a training on that same day? Because you fly to Dubai, you fly to Singapore, you're not going to be doing a 6-month program, but right then and there the same day, keynote in the morning, workshop in the afternoon. He goes, yeah, I'm not sure if they'd go for that. That's not really. I was like, okay, you're going after that. His topic is innovation. He invented some crazy back-end internet banking technology back in the 90s, and now he's this big innovation speaker. Crowdsourcing technology, not banking. But whatever Kickstarter is built on, whatever that engine is, he invented part of that. So he's a very, very successful tech guy. I said, okay, these guys are all very high-end, very wealthy, very successful audiences that you're in front of. So he's in front of CEO groups and these big leadership teams and, sheikhs in the Middle East and sultans and, multi-million-dollar CEOs in Singapore. They probably don't want to come to a workshop. So strike the word workshop. What if you did the keynote and then you had an add-on offering, keynote in the morning, masterclass in the afternoon? Because masterclass is sexy. Masterclass is status. And he says, well, you think that would work? I mean, how would I charge for something like that? I said, well, your keynote's 20. So let's do the keynote and masterclass at 30. Because that'll be a no-brainer. It's for half, again, the money, it's 30. And so this was literally one phone call. And then I see him 6 months later. Because he's in Baltimore, I'm in Philly. We occasionally cross paths, and I go to his chapter meetings, and he comes to my chapter meetings for the National Speakers Association. So I say, hey, how's that masterclass thing going? He's, oh, dude, it's going great. I said, are you selling a lot of them? He goes, I'm selling them like hotcakes. I said, now, wait a second. Wait, hold on. Fill me in here on the intervening 6 months. How many of your keynotes were you able to convert to keynote plus masterclass? He says, over half of them. I said, I think you owe me some beverages. I think you might owe me maybe even a bottle of bourbon, dude. I said, so let me get this straight. When you came to me, you were 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, got the check, go, get on the plane, go, come home, boom, done. Yeah. Now, half of your gigs are not $20,000 gigs, they're $30,000 gigs. And he says, well, actually, they're 35. And I said, what? He said, I thought I'd raise the price a little bit more to make it sound more prestigious. I was like, okay, now it's 2 bottles of bourbon. Now it's 2 bottles of bourbon. I said, are you serious? I said, so half of your clients are upgrading to the keynote plus masterclass. He says, they're loving it. This is the easiest sale I've ever made. They are loving it. And so there you go, instant revenue upgrade. If you're at 7,500, right? 7,500, add on whatever, let's add on 5K. So I can do the keynote for 7,500. a keynote plus masterclass for 12.5, right? So that's one option, is to do like a 50% price bump. He wanted to go 75 because he's, Mr. Big Time. But 50% upgrade would be one way to do that. And then I have a second idea, but Robyn has a question. No? You're just waving in general? Stretching? We have, because I often do this. I'll be on a web call with someone else, and I'll just have my hand like this, and I go, David, and I say, oh no, I have just raised resting hand. This is my hand at rest. I'm fine, I'm good. And so some people do, yoga, whatever. It's all fine. Second idea I got from my friend Joel Block out in Los Angeles. And Joel Block is a hedge fund guy, and he does a lot of his own self-funded seminars. But when he speaks, he says, okay, I can come out and speak, and, we'll do a program, hour, half day, whatever, and that's X dollars. For 2.5, so let's say his fee is $10,000. He says, okay, I'll come out and do the program for $10K. If you want me there for the whole event, I have an in-residence program. What this in-residence program means is I am going to be there for your entire event, before, during, and after. If you want me to come to the VIP dinner the night before, hang out, have dinner with all your high rollers, all your big fancy members, your board members, we can do that. I will do the keynote in the morning. We can do a series then of breakout sessions, executive sessions, hot seats, on-stage consulting. I am totally at your disposal for the entire event. It's almost like what he's doing is he's creating his own track at the conference. So you can go down the regular track, or there's this in-residence track where you're spending more quality time with Joel. And he's taking apart your business, and he's looking at your investment strategy, and he's looking at all the different things. And it's a combination of things. It's extra content. It's, basically a breakout session or a master class like Alex is doing. It is hot seats. So he'll bring someone up from the audience and say, tell me about your business, tell me about your finance, what's going on, what's happening, how can I help? And you can do a hot seat, of course, on any topic that you want, your topic, my topic. It doesn't have to be about money and hedge funds. He will do on-stage consulting, which is kind of like live case studies, and he'll bring up 2 or 3 different people and extract lessons from what they're saying and what they're doing. So he's helping the people on stage, but he's also doing kind of real-time consulting for the audience based on these people that are coming up here. And he prepares for these, by the way. So it's not like, oh, let's see what comes up here. I mean, so he'll pre-pick some of the people. Sometimes he just invites people up spontaneously, but he will pre-pick some of the people so he can study a little bit and give them really good advice and so forth. It's called in residence. And the way this works is you can bring me in for $10K to do the speech, or for $25K, I'll do the speech and this entire in residence program. In residence means the keynote, the breakouts, the dinners, the hosted events, whatever it is you want me to do. The dog and pony show, we'll do some breakouts, we'll do some special sessions, we'll do the hot seats, we'll do he does role plays sometimes. We'll do, because he role plays investor pitches. If you want to get into a hedge fund or have your assets go into a hedge fund, whatever that is, not quite sure how any of that works, but that's okay. So he'll do mock pitches, like a pitch fest. He'll do the onstage consulting that I told you about. He'll interview the CEO of the association, whatever it is. He's basically all you can eat, all formats, no holds barred. I'm there for the whole event, and follow up with him 6 months later. How's that going? He says, about 20% of my people go for, they say, in fact, this will be like the best conference we've ever done, because this in-residence piece, we never even thought about doing it. Never even thought about it. This is what our members are hungry for. Our members are hungry for more meat. Our members are hungry for more depth. Our members are hungry for more access to each other and to the speakers and presenters. So Joel, this is perfect. This is perfect. So you can take the Alex idea that I gave to him around the keynote plus masterclass. You can take the Joel idea of the keynote or the in-residence program Every single person you talk to now is a candidate, not just for a $5,000 or $7,000 or $10,000 speech, but maybe twice that or triple that or whatever it ends up being. So have that in your back pocket. And one mantra, if you're just kind of starting out with some of this, or if you're even new in the program like Omar and Robyn and so forth, you say, well, hang on, I'm not ready to offer that. I'll tell you what, offer it now, figure it out later. Offer it now, figure it out later after you've taken the check to the bank and go, well, I guess I better come up with a master class. Well, I bet I better come up with an in-residence program, because they will pay you for it, because it taps in to that additional level, like we talked about a moment ago, of depth, duration, and detail, even on the front end. Even on the front end, that initial speech does not have to be transactional. That initial speech can be speech plus, 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 and because they're looking at innovating their events and doing a great job, it's something that's going to have immediate appeal, and it's going to separate you from all the other speakers and experts that are pitching keynotes. Bring my keynote in, do my keynote. No, do my keynote. It's like, no, it's not about keynote. It's about how can I offer added value to your audience? And you can buy it like this, or you can buy it like that. And it's just a question of, the other thing, of course, is if you feel that, oh, I'm not ready to sell that, just talk about it. Just have something in your back pocket so that they can buy it. Don't even sell it. Don't even sell it. Don't pitch it. Just have it so they can buy it. And Dina's going, yes. Go ahead.
I just want to tell them, just because this was an insight we got a few weeks ago when we were new to the program, and someone had already been, they were ahead of us, and they were in module 7. So just for the people that are new to build on this, even if all you have is a couple keynotes right now and you're working on training, module 7, the evaluation form, where the customer, you deliver the keynote, you do your own evaluation form, and then you do the whole, oh, by the way, which of my other topics would be of interest to you? And then the customer pulls you to come back. It's not you trying to sell them their customer, the audience is pulling you for more. So just for anybody that's brand new, if you want to jump ahead to module 7, if you've got a customer engagement that's coming up quickly, at least you can try to get pulled for some of your other topics that you offer. So just wanted to throw that out there. And
the only time we allow skipping around is if it's going to make you money.
Yeah.
If it's not going to make you money, do not skip around. It's a system, right? It's a process. But if it'll make you money, then I'm going to give Dina the blessing and the second that emotion on feel free to jump ahead and take a sneak peek at module 7. But then you're the kind of person that probably flips to the back of the novel that you're reading and goes, I have to have the ending. Okay, now I can read the rest of the book. That's okay. And you still enjoy the book and it still works. So very nice. All right. So that's the rant of the day, or the mentoring / training of the day. We've got questions submitted from Fred and Omar and Robyn. So Fred's asking, what are the 3 marketing strategies that make me, well, I think we just nailed 3 of them right there. I mean, that's it. Just do what we talked about, and that will immediately separate you from the crowd. Is bring those 3 things into your conversation. The longer answer though, Fred, or maybe the longer question, let me ask you the longer question first. How far are you into the modules so far?
I've just completed the first one. Okay.
So we got to walk before we run, before we fly. So it's like, the process is diagnosis, prescription, treatment, outcome. I could say, okay, here's what you do. You do LinkedIn and webinars and praying. Well, if it's LinkedIn, webinars, and praying, wouldn't that work for everybody? Well, sure, yeah. But there's no one size fits all. So based on kind of who you are, who you're marketing to, following the process and the structure in the program, you will get to that answer, I'm going to say in module 4, by the time you've worked through module 4. Believe me, if there was magic beans and quick fixes that worked for everybody every time, I would not be here. I'd be on my own desert island. And I might invite you guys and, come hang out and have little fruity drinks. But there is no one size fits all. What's the 3 best marketing strategies? But you'll totally get to them for your audience, for the problem that you want to solve. And the short answer is going to be fish where the fish are. So it's about really knowing your audience better than they know themselves, and then putting yourself into those blogs, portals, communities, social media platforms, publications, conferences, associations, networking groups, and really doing that in a very targeted, very specific way that's going to really move the needle on your results.
Well, let me just say that so far what I've heard today has expanded my thinking and my perspective of what my value is to my audiences. I don't mind sharing with everyone that for a long time I've suffered from the imposter syndrome. And you don't really know what's out there. You don't know how to maneuver through the forest.
Right.
And just this session has given me tremendous insight.
So you're done. You wouldn't have to tune into the rest of this nonsense.
Yes.
You're good to go. Just turn the key and boom.
See you next year.
Much more to come. And I also like the Where's Waldo reference.
Yeah, because we can get lost if we don't stand out, and we have
Right.
to have something that makes us stand out.
Right. Exactly. We don't want the Where's Waldo syndrome. It's like, I know he's in here somewhere. I can't find the guy. Where's the guy that can help me? Oh, there's Fred. There he is. All right. So Omar's question is, when I've defined the problem I solve, what's the best way to pick an industry or niche to market to? Best way to confirm in advance? Okay, fantastic. So Omar, similar question, and welcome, of course. How far are you along inside the training?
Hey, doing well. I've gone through most of the videos, but I'm going through it again now. I'm the kind of person that goes to the end and then goes back to the start.
Okay, so you did kind of a quick skim, and now you're engaging in the work and the decisions and the assignments.
Right. So I'm speaking already, but I'm in more of the marketing, business owner, internet marketing world. I'm doing a transition to something more fulfilling, which is more influence and communication, and how to impact people so that they can solve better problems interpersonally. But the problem exists everywhere, so I'm trying to figure out,
Right.
Where do I actually book people to pay for it?
Okay. And I also have to give you a ton of credit, because if my time zones are correct, it is 4:52 a.m. where you are.
Yeah, you're making me do the hard work around here. 3:52 in Sydney right now.
Oh man, 3:52 in the morning, and you are up for this.
I am making it work. So.
Damn. Okay, now that's the dedication award right there. And when we talked about inviting you in, it's like it's going to be 3:00 in the morning. He's ready. He's serious. He's going to make it happen. So I give you a ton of credit for that self-discipline. So here's the deal, and that a lot of people are asking this question, and the answer is both simple and complex. You get to decide. So you say, okay, I could take this into pharmaceuticals. I could take this into the distribution industry. I could take this into, consumer product goods. So some of the questions as you're working through modules 2 and 3, and you might have kind of skimmed this over when you were doing your overview, is find out the pockets that get it, need it, and want it with a sense of urgency. Right? The 3 key questions is when we're looking at what kind of exact people we want to serve, who suffers from it more greatly, the problem that we solve, who needs it more desperately, and who will value it more highly. So it's a question of where is the intersection of the greatest want and the greatest need and the greatest urgency, and then we're in charge of that, and we get to pick. Now, to answer your second half of your question, how do I know that I'm barking up the right tree? How do I know this is actually going to work? There's a series of validation steps that you do in the program, which primarily is a listening campaign. And the listening campaign is tuning in to where these exact prospects are going to discuss the kinds of problems, heartaches, headaches, challenges, and gaps that you fix and solve. And what's their language? What are some of the hot topics? And when I say hot topics, I mean when you're in a LinkedIn group or you see a LinkedIn conversation, what has the most likes? What has the most shares? What has the most comments? What has the most questions? When you're going to one of the big industry blogs and portals and communities, there's going to be blog posts that have like 20 comments and other blogs that have 275 comments. What's the theme, right? What are those provocations? What are those topics? What are those angles? Again, whether it's leadership, sales, customer service, parenting, health, wellness, presentation skills, team building, innovation, collaboration, we all have these blogs and portals and communities where people go to discuss that topic. when they're in those places, that's where the listening campaign says, wow, this topic got a ton of traction. There must be a lot of people that are wrestling with this, that are complaining about this, that have this problem. I'm looking over here, crickets, nothing, tumbleweeds going down the empty side streets of the wild western town. So things that sound like a great idea, that sound like, oh my gosh, I'm sure that there's, you'll start to see patterns in some of these blogs, portals, communities, and groups where this is really what they want. This is really what's hot and what's bothering them, what's making them crazy, what's causing a lot of frustration and headbanging against the brick wall, and learning to have that 6 o'clock head in the hands at the bar conversation about the actual pains, problems, heartaches, and challenges. That's where the gold is, because that's what's going to resonate with them. It's not going to be consultant speak. It's not going to be jargon. It's not going to be what we think the problem is or what we think the problem that we're solving is. It's how do they talk about it? How do they resonate with it? And when you go through that validation step of the listening campaign and also in your competitive scan. So the other part of this is going to be doing that competitive scan that we talk about, which is like, how are other experts positioning themselves to solve a similar problem, and how can you zig where they zag? And then based on all of that data and all of that factual objective information, you'll be able to make a very educated, very clear decision. I want to go after these people. I do not want to go after those people. I want to solve this problem in this way. I do not want to try and solve this that way, either because there's too much noise, there's too much competition, or because what you thought was a unique solution is actually more of a commodity approach. And you want to do, for example, what Selena talked about, which is maybe shake the coconut tree and get a little bit contrarian and start to have them think differently, not only about your solution, but have them think differently about your problem.
Yeah, that's really useful. A lot of the competitors that I've seen already, as you speak about, they all look mostly the same, or 99% of them look the same. So no one's really going into what you've just spoken about and really identifying and agitating like the problem side of it.
Exactly.
So I like what you're saying there about LinkedIn and looking for the squeaky wheel and where people are actually verbally complaining. So I'll go down that path. I think that's really useful.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And it's, the good news is about like all these other goofballs out there who look the same and so forth. They're not here. They're not here, and you are. So we got to keep this on the down low, right? This is our little secret in here. Don't tell anyone. Okay, so Robyn's question: how to differentiate your marketing materials for attendees versus corporate decision makers. I also have a question about how to position my TEDx talk and my speaker reel. It's not about the transition to new parenthood, but it's prestigious. 1 million views on one. Okay, so talk me through that, Robyn. Let's go through part 1 and part 2 of your question.
Okay, well, if the problem that I'm working on is helping people not get divorced, basically, or fall into postpartum depression after they have a baby, that obviously benefits individuals. But if I'm pitching it to corporations, I'm doing it couched in lost productivity, distraction, cost of recruiting new employees. So how do I focus my website?
So is it about divorce prevention, or is it about productivity and getting back in the flow when either about to leave on maternity leave, which is a huge bandwidth and mind, you're right, their mind is like 50% at work, 50% at home, weeks and weeks before the baby comes. And then certainly coming back, it's going to be months and months and months. They're on the phone with daycare and, oh, so-and-so is sick and so-and-so has head lice. And, oh my God. So they're really half at work and half not. From my perspective, that's the corporate problem. It's not about let's keep them married. I mean, that's kind of a baseline thing. Of course, let's keep them married. But then when you're at work, as a new parent, how are you fully at work? And when you're at home, how are you fully at home, right? So really separating this to avoid the new parents coming back or the new parents leaving from being stressed out, maxed out, burned out, absenteeism, presenteeism, their body's at work, but their mind is with the child or with the pregnancy. Is that something that we could shift into, or is that totally foreign territory for you?
No, it's not. But the thing is, I'm trying to do both. I mean, the big chunk of what I do is the 2-day Bringing Baby Home seminar, which is for couples who have just had, who are getting ready to have, or have just had a new baby. And what that seminar does is it helps them deal with conflict, helps them cement their relationship. They have better interactions with their children. The dads are more involved. I mean, so that's the biggest thing that I'm looking to market at this point.
So who's the buyer of that? Let's talk about, because again, this is not about what we want to sell. It's about what they want to buy. Who have you identified as the best target audience for that for you?
Well, I think I had mentioned in our phone call that, for example, Microsoft covers the cost of that seminar, that 2-day seminar for their employees through their EAP benefits.
Right.
So that's a model I'd like to pursue, finding more companies here on the East Coast who would do that.
But then your decision maker for that, and we discussed this as well, are you marketing this to Microsoft, or do you need rather to get in with a lot of EAP companies that have clients like Microsoft?
I think it's the EAP companies with the research that I've done.
There you go. So there's your answer. So that's absolutely the key to unlock that piece of it. As far as how do you do both, and we'll talk about the TEDx talk in a moment, but there's a couple different ways. I mean, you can have different, either on your main website, you can say, right, for EAP companies, and they click on that button. Right? And then for meeting planners, and they click on that button. And so even just the very simple kind of signposting navigation on your website. So one of my very first clients was a career consultant. He's still a good friend of mine to this day. And he was doing retail career consulting for individual executives. And he also was doing outplacement and career seminars for big, large, giant corporations. He was like wrestling with this, and what do I do, and how does it work, and it's a conflicting message, and I don't want the executives to see the outplacement stuff. I don't want the outplacement decision makers to see that I work with executives. I said, great, 2 buttons. For executives, right, click, right, for corporations, click. So and I think he said for individual executives was the button, and then for corporations, right, or HR/corporation, because he knew he had 2 sets of buyers. And so he didn't have 2 business cards. He didn't have 2 company names. He didn't go crazy on this. He just had this kind of signposted navigation. If you want this half of my business, go here. If you want that half of my business, go there. And it was very clean and very simple. And he had that going for years and years and years. And then he finally decided to bag the corporate thing because he hated their guts and said, I'm only working with individual executives in career transitions. So that he then fixed his website to take that off. But it worked really well for years and years and years. So that's the easy answer, is you have the value prop for the B2C over here. You have the value prop for the B2B over there. People know who they are. It's easy to navigate. You just have a different value prop. And, it's no big deal. Someone gets curious. They want to spend more time on the website. They'll click to the other side. There's no secrets over there. You've got nothing to hide. You've got nervous.
Right. And not dissing the
employee. Like, hey, I do this for these people, and I do that for those people.
Okay. Then in terms of a speaker catalog, it's a selection of descriptions of the talks that I give. The emotional buttons that I'm pushing, should they be for the corporation or for the person? So
yes and, right? Yes and. So we talk about this sometimes in terms of selling dog food and selling dog food to either dogs, which is tough because the dogs, as delicious as the dog food is, they have no pockets, they have no wallets, they have no credit cards. Dog food is not sold to dogs. Dog food is sold to dog owners. So when you have the executive decision maker, right, the economic buyer is the one that buys the training. So the head of the EAP program, for example, is the economic buyer. So, right, do you want your clients to, and then what sometimes people do is, the client heartaches, headaches, challenges, and gaps, and then the buyer headaches, challenges, heartaches, gaps, etc. So, for example, if, let's say it was a leadership topic, I'm just going to generalize this so everyone can benefit, but we'll get back to Robyn's example in a moment. You can have 2 sets of bullets that describe your program. So set of bullets number 1 is when people hire Nicole, when people hire Susan, when people hire Alvin, your organization gets bullet, 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 bullet. When you hire Alvin, your individual participants get and different set of bullets, right? So one is on the more organizational value prop, things like macro level, global level things, a more engaged team, better culture, become employer of choice, dominate the 100 best places to work in America, blah, 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 blah. These are all the things that the economic buyer wants to see, right? Global, macro, the organization gets known as being a magnet for talent, blah, 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 blah. Great. Each individual participant gets, and then, you're more stress-free, you're more relaxed when you're at work, when you're at home, you're at home. You get, more productivity, more personal effectiveness. You get back in the swing at work. You feel like you belong. You don't feel like you're a visitor from a different planet, an alien planet. It's like, I'm a new mom. It's like, you're a different planet, dude. It's like, I'm not a new mom. I'm a 23-year-old hard-charging career person. I'm not going to have kids for 10 years. Get out of my way. They don't want to feel that way. They want to feel like they're in the team, integrated, not different, not weird, not balkanized or made to feel weird. So those are the individual benefits for all of us, right? Whether it's presentation skills, leadership, sales, etc., customer service, you name it. Your organization gets bullet, 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 right? In Leonard's case, your dealership gets, right? Your entire region gets, if he's selling to the regional sales manager, your region or the regional GM, your region gets, boom, 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 high-performing dealerships, hitting quota more often, more consistently. More people hitting quota more often, more consistently. The biggest problem is you're going to have to spend more bonus money. When you hire Leonard, your biggest problem is you're going to be writing bigger bonus checks. Sorry. That's at the organizational level, right? At the individual level, right? Now we're talking to the you, right? The you is going to be the individual car sales professional. The individual is going to be the individual executive, the individual leader, the individual communicator, the individual executive who does what you want them to do. Then it becomes that you and your language, where we're going to boost, create, enhance, increase, skyrocket. All the good things go up. All the bad things go down. We're going to slash, eliminate, reduce, right? All those action words. All of these bullets, by the way, are action words. They're not learning words. You never want to use the word understand. Your people will understand the difference between the 7 parts of my model. Oh my God, just shoot me in the head right now. No one wants to understand the 7 parts of your model. So no understand, no learn, no find out, right? Those are all learning words. People don't want to understand, learn, or find out. What they want is they want the result words, and the result words are boost, skyrocket, enhance, increase. Good things go up, bad things go down, right? So use the negative words, slash, reduce, eliminate, cut. And that's how to run those bullets. That's how to run those bullets. When you do your marketing language bank exercise, of course, that's going to help you generate, right? The 7 buyer persona questions is going to be some raw material. If you come up with some really great ideas, there's a parking lot page that some people have asked about, which is the headlines, bullets, and building blocks. That's just where you jot down your raw ingredients. That's where like, oh, I just brainstormed this thing. That would be a great bullet. That would be a great building block. Maybe that's going to be a headline somewhere. Maybe that's a subject line for an email. Oh man, that's a great blog post title. So capture those in that parking lot for headlines, bullets, and building blocks. And then of course, you also have your pain, gain, flip factors, where a lot of people are so focused on selling the solution that we forget to talk about the problem. And the old advertising adage is true, that if you want to sell fire extinguishers, you first have to show the fire. So show the heartaches, headaches, challenges, and gaps that you fix, and then say, by the way, this is the stuff that we make go away. This is the stuff that we can fix for you.
Okay. So any thoughts about how to use my TED Talk and my speaker reel, because it's kind of tangentially related?
So do you think if you do some creative editing, are there segments of that could address both markets?
I have. I've taken more of the technical and kept more of the broad. So I think I have done that. Because
Okay.
it's
And then
an
you also have,
opportunity.
you've got other, besides the TEDx talk, you've got other speaking
Yes,
segments in the
I
video.
have tape of me giving a talk on work-life balance for women. I have tape of me giving an interview about the same topic on Yahoo Finance, and then I have a tape of an interview of me giving advice about couples after they have a baby.
Yeah, I think that would work. And again, once you start to get some new footage, like the next couple of gigs that you do, I would hire a videographer for a couple $100 and just get some of that fresh new footage with the new value prop and the new lens on the topic, and then start to integrate that into the speaker reel.
Okay.
But again, that's like a phase 2. I mean, right now you could go out with, if it's remessaged and repackaged and re-articulated the way that we're working towards, the video becomes secondary. We'll fix the video when we can, and that shouldn't stop you for a second. Okay,
because I'm at the point where I have a person who's creating a video for me, and I've told him to put it on hold until I work some of this stuff out.
Totally right.
Okay.
That's smart advice. Because again, you're going to get this entirely new vocabulary, the entirely new kind of messaging. And again, it's not going to be entirely new. It's going to be a new wrapper, a new slant around the expertise that you already have, that for that kind of corporate buyer that we've been talking about, that's going to really resonate with them and what they want.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
You're welcome. So I think that is the end of our prefabricated questions, our submitted in advance questions. Anything else? And Morgan confirms that is the end of our prefab questions. So that's great. Thank you. Anything else for anyone else? What else can I help with? Other ahas from today's training, mentoring about business model innovation, Keynote Plus Masterclass, Keynote Plus in Residence program, or anything that you're working on that I can help with before Thursday. I'll raise the bar right now. I'm going to raise the bar right now. Thursday, we're going to do, and we didn't do it today, but we'll do another round of celebrations and wins and success stories. So start working on that now. You have 2 days to come up with something awesome, whether that's a financial result, an aha breakthrough result, a clarity result, a decision result. I've decided to do this instead of that. Could be a prospecting result, could be anything that you're working on that is something that makes you happy and that moves the needle on your ongoing success. So we're gonna collect those at the top of our mentoring call on Thursday. Anything else for right now? Everyone's good? I think we got to give Omar just a big virtual high five and thumbs up. And it's the Crack of Dawn Award, dude. It's the Crack of Dawn Award. And we are thrilled that you're here, the whole team. I was just talking to Teresa and the whole team. Very excited, mainly because we're making people get up at 3 a.m. I mean, that's the juice for us, and then of course the amazing results that you're going to create in the program. But it just shows amazing dedication, and we talk about this, that when things get hard, how do you respond? Do you redouble the efforts? Do you get up at the crack of dawn? Do you make it happen, make it work, push through, and you're hell-bent on making something happen? Because those are the folks that get the best results. And there's all kinds of rock stars in here right now. So you don't have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to be a rock star, but it's a pretty good indicator that you're going to do well in here. Pretty good precursor. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. This recording will be in the Facebook group. Make sure that you're in the Facebook group for the new folks. And we'll reconvene on Thursday, and I will see you on Facebook in between if we can help with anything else. All right, team. Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.